Good Woche, everyone. Wonderful to see you. See, Shabbos Pashas Bolok. Marvelous, incredible Pasha. I mean, it's not a lumdus kind of shear, but the thing is that we'll talk about it a little bit more in Sichos Haran. But it's the only Pasha in the turn which Am Yisrael almost doesn't play a part in it until the very end. You can see, all you see is how our enemies see us. And there's a very interesting and very meaningful lesson to be learned from that. We'll talk in Mitzvah Hashem about this when we speak about Sichos Haran. But B'ezrat Hashem, first of all, we are in Mitzvah Hashem sharing a story from Baal Shemtov. Then we have added to it and another story from Ma'aseh Tzadikim. Now we're doubling down with Sipurey Tzadikim and Moshe Shabbos before we get into Sichos Haran. So this is the story about the trip of the Baal Shemtov to Eretz Yisrael. Anybody that is a bit familiar with that, they call Sudas Mashiach. This is what they do in, the last day of Pesach. This is when you sit down and tell this story. I imagine this is the Baal Shem HaKodesh. His conduct was that never kept money by him from one day to the next. And also when he took on the trip to Eretz Yisrael, he behaved that way. Every day he would cover whatever money he needed for that particular day. And that way he went from village to village, from town to town. The only thing he worried about is just covering the day. Trusting HaKadosh Baruch Hu. HaKadosh Baruch Hu is going to give him whatever he needs day by day. And this particular trip, his famous trip to Eretz Yisrael, he was joined by his daughter, the Tzaddikus Odel, Ras Odel, and his Shamash, a pure Sefer. And they went from town to town, from village to village, until they got in Erev Pesach to the port city of Istanbul. I think in those days it was called Constantinople, I think, but I'm not sure. Anyhow, in those days in Berlin, Germany, there was a very wealthy Jew. For many years, he didn't have any children. And he heard about the Baal Shemtov, his Baal Moifes, Ish Kodesh. So his relatives gave him advice, that he should travel to the Baal Shemtov and get a bracha for children. He did that. Prepared a fancy wagon, nice coach. I don't know if it was a Cadillac Escalade or Mercedes, probably a Mercedes Maybach, something like that. I'm not sure of those days, and good horses and a lot of money, like all the rich people. And he went with his wife to the town of Mezhibov. Immediately they got to town, he asked, where's the Baal Shem Tov? They told him that mamish now he left Eretz Yisrael. So the rich person, being a rich person, changed his route, and he found out which route did the Baal Shem Tov take to get to Eretz Yisrael. So they told him. And it says that they went from, he went after him, and every place where he got, he found, asking about Baal Shem Tov, got the same answer. The Baal Shem Tov just left and he went to the next town. And he followed, and he also got to the city of Istanbul on Erev Pesach. Well, being a very wealthy man, he took a very nice room, the suite, in the local Ritz-Carlton, I don't know, whatever it is, in that particular place, and made sure to have everything for the Seder, the ways. And after he finished doing everything, he started looking for the Baal Shem Tov. And he thought, a big city like Istanbul, is very difficult to find him. He decided he's going to go to the port city, where the port is. There are people there coming, going, he will be able to find something out. And the Baal Shem Tov, when he came to Istanbul, obviously this hotel was in the Jewish quarter. The Baal Shem Tov took a room in the same place, in the same hotel, but not in the in the top suite, but on the basement where the poor people went. And nobody knew who he was because he didn't advertise who he was. And when his daughter Odell asked him, what are we going to have? What are we going to have for Seder Pesach? Where are we going to eat? He didn't answer. He just said, don't worry, Hashem will help. Hashem will help. And he went to shul and he just remained there. And she trusted her father and just went, to wash the clothes, in the river, in the sea, whatever it is, for Yom Tov. And when the wealthy person came, he saw her, so he looks at a Jewish woman. He came over. He asked her, "Do you know where the Baal Shem HaKadosh happens to be in this town?" She said, "Yeah, the Baal Shem HaKadosh is my father, and he has a specific hotel, and in the basement." So the rich person was, this tycoon was very glad. I said, "You're going to be my guest for Yom Tov. I already prepared everything for Pesach for them as well." She went back, and the Baal Shem Tov basically remained in shul. Afterwards, he went to the mikveh. When he comes home from shul, he went immediately to the room of that rich person. Didn't speak anything, just made the Seder in his way. And after he went through half a Seder, he turned to the rich person and to his wife. He said, "I know why you came here, and I already have arranged a deliverance for you." And immediately, he went up with a tremendous aliyas neshama, ascension of neshama, and they saw an unbelievable effort on his part. And nobody knew what it was about. And then he said, "Okay, so I'm going to serve HaKadosh Baruch Hu without Olam Haba." And then they saw huge light and happiness on his face. And then he woke up from his vakus, and he told them that when he benched them with children, there was a big, kitrug on him in the Shemayim, being that both the husband and the wife were incapable of having children. So because of the brach of the Baal Shem Tov, Mishamayim, they had to change the nature of both people. So Mishamayim, they said, okay, as a punishment, the Baal Shem Tov is going to lose his Olam Haba. So the Baal Shem Tov, when he heard this, and he said, okay, if that's what I'm going to do, I'm going to serve Kadosh Baruch Hu without Olam Haba. Mishamayim, they saw that, they said the Sitra Achra came and said, just give him his Olam Haba back. If he's going to serve Kadosh Baruch Hu without Olam Haba, I've got nothing to do in the world anymore. If I have a little shtickle chance, to keep on doing my job, is that he should have some kind of knowing that he's going to get a benefit in Olam Haba. He's going to do Torah Mesiras Nefesh, that's, so they gave him back to him. And then the Baal Shem Tov continued the Seder with great simcha without speaking anymore. When he got to the Lois and Nifloes Gdolos Levadoi, he repeated that particular verse in the Haggadah again, and again with tremendous serious. Now, that's not the only thing that happened in Istanbul at that time. The Sultan has decreed, in the advice of his ministers, that all the Jews in Istanbul have to be driven away to exile in a very cruel fashion. All the Jews out in one day, the first day of Pesach. And the ministers, forswore each other not to let anybody know about this decree, so that the Jews won't start, using their connections, to be mevatel the gzera. But amongst those ministers, there was one minister who was a Jew lover. And when he found, he immediately went on Erev Pesach, he went to the Gabbai, the head of the Jewish community, and he told him the secret. And he said, you should know that my life is in great danger, because if the king will find out that people know about this, that's why I don't have any eitzah to tell you. I can't give you some kind of advice, what you can do about it. I just wanted you to know that this is what is happening, and you should find some kind of a solution for that. Immediately, when the head of the Kehillah heard about it, he took all the Rabbon of the Kehillah, and they started talking to find out what are we going to do about this. So they decided that the mother of the king was loved the Jews as well. So they said they're going to walk to her and find an eitzah from her. Immediately after the Seder, they went to her house of the mother of the king. And as they were walking next to the hotel where the Baal Shemtov was, they just heard that he was repeating many, many times, to the one who does great miracles all alone. And they said, if only this Jew knew what terrible decree there is, he wouldn't be so enthusiastic. Well, they came to the house of the Sultan's mother, and they asked to come in. It's in a very, very late time. They said it was an emergency. And she was very startled. She realized if they came, it's such a late hour that, it's a very dire matter. She received them very graciously, and they told her the decree that her son has decreed that the next day. And they said that you have to find out, some kind of an advice, some kind of what to do in a way that the king should not know that they came and told her that. And Chesed Hashem, she had an idea. So immediately, in the middle of the night, she went and she woke up her son, the king. And he woke up at great fright. And she told him that her husband, his father, the late Sultan, came to her in a dream in great fright. And he said that he has no rest in the eternal world, because until the morning, there won't be a single person left of his family alive, and they will all be annihilated. So she asked him to know, what horrible things did you do? But because of that, all our family, must be annihilated. So the king was very scared, and he started telling her all different kind of things. She says, no, it doesn't make any sense that because of this, that will be eradicated. Until he told her about this gzera, this decree to chase away all the Jews. The next day, she said, this is it. This is it. This is the reason for the decree. She says, you want to start championing with the Jews? Don't you know that anybody who started out with that, ended very, very badly? Immediately go ahead and cancel the decree. Immediately. They shouldn't even know that such a decree even existed. So the king took it and it tore it apart. And then she came back to her house and she told the messengers of the Jews that the decree is off and they can get back home and tell the Kodesh Baruch Hu was big chasadim that that he did with them without them even knowing about it. Well, they came back a few hours later, again next to the hotel of the Baal Shem HaKadosh, and they found him still holding that portion of the Haggadah. But now he saw it, he's doing it with great simcha, more than when they heard it before. In the morning, the Yom Tov davening of Pesach is a long davening. The Rabbanim said in the shul, told him, Spalalim, when the unbelievable miracle had happened at night. And while they were there, they said about this Jew, interesting Jew, this strange Jew that repeated these words, Lois and Yiflas. So the Baal Shemtov said to them, even though nobody knew who he was, he says, if it wasn't for this Jew, you would not have had this unbelievable miracle. Motzei Yom Tov, the couple want to give the Baal Shemtov, a great sum of money for the bracha, the best. I mean, B'shul Panim V'Ofen, they not agree, but only that it should buy to get enough money to buy tickets to go to Eretz Yisrael, and they took a trip to go to Eretz Yisrael. They never got to Eretz Yisrael. B'ezrat Hashem, we will continue with this Maisa, B'ezrat Hashem, next week to find out what happened to them when they haven't gone to Eretz Yisrael. Let's see with another. Oh, this is amazing because we actually have the same story. Unbelievable. Could you believe that we actually have in two different Sforim at the same Shabbos, the same story about Shem Tov coming to Eretz Yisrael from Istanbul? I kid you not. Unbelievable. So we were Yoitz Sipurey Tzadikim there as well. Incredible. Baruch Hashem. So B'ezrat Hashem, Kadosh Baruch Hu is preparing a miracle for us, B'ezrat Hashem, this week as well. B'ezrat Hashem. It's not a small thing that we should hit, the same story in both places. So without further ado, let's take a look at Sichos Haran for this week. With our Sicha 131. And it says, when I wrote before Rabbeinu HaKodesh the Torah Ve'elu HaMishpatim, it's Torah Yud. And it says, when there is Chas v'Chas judgments on Am Yisrael, through dancing and clapping, that ameliorates, it sweetens the judgments. And he says to me, I heard that now there are decrees, Chas v'Shalom. And now Purim is going to come, because that Purim was said close to Purim. And Am Yisrael will be dancing and clapping their hands, and they will sweeten the dinim. And he repeated and said, that's what I said. And what he wanted is for us to understand that all the words of his holy Torah, even though there is tremendous depth and secrets upon secrets and mysteries upon mysteries that are deeper and wider than the sea, and every single word that he says, his main aim is that we will listen and hear and accept what he says simply. Just accept it and do it simply. Like in this particular Torah, it says through dancing and clapping your hands, it ameliorates and sweetens the dinim. His kavanah was kipshuta, that people should strengthen himself to be besimcha in the days of simcha, like Purim, and Chanukah, and Yom Tovim, or Chasan, and all kinds of simcha of mitzvah. Be mechazik themselves with tremendous simcha until they'll be able to, to get excited until they dance and they clap their hands, and they actually sweeten the dinim, the judgments. Because all the Divrei Torah is not in the Shemayim. That to say, who is in such a madrega that he can sweeten the dinim by dancing and clapping hands? Huge tzaddikim. Says, no. Every single Jew has this koyach. Just do it. Pashut, emes, tmimus. Every single thing that's said there in Torah Akhlation. In every single thing in every Torah. Not the medrash, it's not the medrash. The main thing is the ma'aseh. And that gives us directive. Put your eye well and look well in every single Torah that Rabbeinu says, and put your heart to understand in every place what things in Eitzes and Musar and Seirus comes out of there. Except the simple things. Rabbeinu says, that through now that we're learning Torah Chofei, that the greatness of Kadosh Baruch Hu is expressed when you give tzedakah, to Ani Hagun. And he goes into a very, very deep explanation about what lights there are in the money of the Rabbeinu, and simply just go ahead and give tzedakah. At this particular Indian, it says Ani Hagun. How do I know who is Ani Hagun? I'll find somebody that tzaddik nister that is Ani Hagun. It says Ani Hagun is not somebody that doesn't have money for Tefillin Rabbeinu Tam. He doesn't have money for Tefillin of Rashi also. People that need money with Ani Hagun, about it, it's incredible if you can find somebody who's also an Oived Hashem and a tzaddik, is Gewalt. But you're talking about Oni Hagun, that means that somebody who's really poor. Just give tzedakah to somebody who's really poor. Don't go with all kind of fantasies. I'm looking for, I don't know what's one of the Lamavav Tzadikim. Somebody, he doesn't have money. He is he's an Oni Hagun. He's Yaitze, all the din of being poor. Somebody that doesn't have enough money for Shabbos or needs money for Shabbos, doesn't even matter what the reason is. He should go to work, he shouldn't go to work, whatever the tachas, the mitzvah is, he doesn't have money for Shabbos, doesn't have money for clothes for his children, doesn't have money for rent, whatever it is, you give him money. And this is how you expose the Gdula of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. So let's take a quick look at the end of the Sicho. And since you understand this very hate of Lamaisa, because all the words of Rabbeinu Yisrael, they're all needed. They're all absolutely essential, to do actions and good eitzes, how to serve HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Even in some places that when you just look at the way it's written, you first look at it, you don't understand exactly what is it negiyah, what was it negiyah to me? According to my madrega, it looks like very deep things, maybe something negiyah to me. Nevertheless, even there is tremendous eitzes and tremendous service to come back to Kadosh Baruch Hu from where you are. The only thing you need to do is just put your eye and your heart there, and you'll find tremendous eitzes, tremendous ways, according to your madrega, because all the Rabbeinu's words contain everything. And every single Torah contains the entire Torah, and all the people in the world, in every stage of existence that they are, from the highest to the lowest. And every single Torah, every single Sicha, you can serve HaKadosh Baruch Hu, from no matter if you're the biggest tzaddik or the lowest of the low. You can come to Hashem Yisbarach and to find eitzes and nafshay through that particular Torah, because every Torah of Rabbeinu contains absolutely all the madregas in the world. It's a very, very important thing. And this will come back to this week's Parsha. Here we go. You have Bilam and Balak, both not people who we mentioned the Yotzeit and light the Yotzeit candle for. In other words, they're not the biggest tzaddik in that. In fact, they're two of the worst Rishonim ever. Um, and the Torah spends a lot of time with the conversation between them. And then Balak said to Bilam this, and Bilam said to Balak that, and you see back and forth and back and forth. And when the Torah comes and says, like when the Torah gives a role model, everybody will agree that Bilam is not the role model. Avraham Avinu is a role model, but nevertheless, the Torah says, what's the difference between the Talmidim of Avraham Avinu, Talmidim of Bilam and Rosh? The answer why the words of Bilam are so essential is because we have treasures. We have treasures that we don't share. We don't even know that we have them. It's a big deal, I'm wearing tzitzis, this and that, whatever. It takes your enemy. If somebody comes, another Jew, another this, rabbi, friend, whatever it is, and tells you words of chizuk, sounds like some kind of psychologically, he's trying to cheer you up or whatnot. But if your enemy comes to tell you and he says, the thing that scares me most about you is, and the thing that makes me shake in my boots, lest you take actions in this particular area, that what he's saying is the truth. Bilam, the first words of Bilam already tells the Jews what is their greatest weapon. That it's a secret that can unlock all their potential, get them to whatever they want to get. Gashmias, Ruchnias, get married, have children, have good children, everything. He says, and Am levadad yishkon. It's a nation that resides alone. Vagoim lo yischoshev. And he doesn't consider the goyim. The goyim are not. There are two secrets here that we should take to heart. The first one is a very sobering thought. The Jewish nation is a nation that gets decimated constantly throughout the ages. You can hear the secular people says, why don't Haredi people go to the army? Why don't Haredi people go to work? Why don't Haredi people, get vaccinated? Whatever it is, some people don't. Why this and why that? The answer is they want to safeguard the future of the Jewish people. Excuse me? Coming in. Yeah. In Mitzrayim, we learn, the Torah tells us that by the highest estimate, 20% of the Jews that were in Egypt came out. There's another estimate that says only 2%. And even less. Most of the people remain in Mitzrayim. Who are the people that left out of Mitzrayim? These are the people who didn't change their clothing, didn't change their names, and didn't change their language. They remain looking like, these Turkatani from Yashar, the zebras, wearing these funny things, did not change their names. They have these funny names, Yosel and Zurach and Yerachmiel. They were not named, Shir or Larry or none of that. And they didn't change their language. These are the people that separated themselves from the Egyptians. These are the people who went out. All the rest died off. Anybody that knows what's going on in America knows that over 70% are becoming assimilated, are getting lost. And even those that are not getting assimilated, quote unquote, are already so assimilated, who knows what's going to be with them. There's a tiny fraction is actually continuing with the flame. These are those who separate themselves, and Am Levada Dishkon, a nation that resides alone. That's the reason they don't go to the army. That's the reason they don't even get involved mostly in high tech. We have brains in Ponevezh that can outbrain anybody in the high tech industry. But what will be with Am Yisrael? Our secret is in separating ourselves from the Goyim or the Goyish society. But the second secret in this, that Bilam, our enemy, told us that he's scared of most, is his Beidatus. This is not a Breslov invention. The Rishonim and the Ramchal, and they all write about it again and again and again. There's no way to get close to Kadosh Baruch Hu be'emes unless you find yourself a place and you talk to Kadosh Baruch Hu in your own language. It could be English, could be Yiddish, could be Portuguese, whatever. Whatever the most comfortable, the language you're most comfortable. Yeah, but I'll go there and I get really bored because I can't find what to say. I just like, so it's okay. It's work. In fact, that's the highest level of Avodah Hashem there is. So yes, it's very, very difficult. Okay, so what do you do? Okay, difficult, fine. How do you overcome that? First of all, you start with as long as you can. It could be 2 minutes here, 2 minutes there, 2 minutes here, 2 minutes there, until you build up. The second thing that you need to know is that it's okay to have a disjointed talk with Hashem. You're thinking about starting, you're saying, talk about one thing, and then you lose the thread of thought. And you start talking about something else. And then you lose that thread also. And then you talk about something else. It's okay. That's the way it's done. If you will keep on doing it, suddenly you will see Hashem himself will show you how all this is actually one thing. And the third secret that you need to know about making this Beidatus is that you will get a very distinct feeling that that's not this Beidatus, what I'm doing. That's not the way it's done. It's not, you go and you cry out and you go, that's his Beidatus. But what I'm doing there is a pathetic kind of like a piecemeal, throwing a word here, a word there, sitting there, correcting, maybe not correcting, bored, thinking about watching cars pass. I don't know what. That's Eitzos Bilam. No. This is his Beidatus. The Yetzer is not going to hold your coat and cheer you on. I promise you that. What you need to do is realize that just even coming there to make his Beidatus, a very good habit is, before you actually sit to make his Beidatus, get ready. Say it in your mind, I'm getting ready to make his Beidatus. What would I like to talk about? What I wouldn't like to talk about? Just mentally, now I'm going to sit, I'm going to make his Beidatus. I'm going to make his Beidatus. I'm going to make his Beidatus. Then you go and you sit there, and even if you're not able to say a single word, sitting there alone is huge for HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Huge. Bilam is most afraid of you facing HaKadosh Baruch Hu face to face in talking to him. I saw a wonderful dibur from Laser Sheikh, that said that somebody asked him in a letter why isn't it enough just to learn Sfarim? What do you have to do Zbeidus? So he said, learning Sfarim without making Zbeidus is like looking at a map compared to actually being to all those places. You're reading about all these things, but you're not there. To be there, you need to meet your creator face to face and talk to him. Talk to him about the problems that you have. Talk to him about the problems you have talking to him. How much you don't feel like talking to him. What problems you have that you feel so parched in your soul that you feel like you're talking to the wall. Tell him all that. That is his Avodas. That is Avodas Hashem. That is the secret weapon that you and I have. We should be using it every single day. There's nothing that Bilam, the biggest Russia ever, is afraid of more than that. That Hashem Yisborach will bless us. The month of Tammuz, the month of Av are not easy, to say the least. We have to guard our eyes. Summer months, people are not wearing fur coats at this time of year. Wait, missed it. Okay. Anyhow, without Hashem, we should all have a gewaldige bracha and gewaldige Yeshuas b'zat Hashem. We just learned twice. We saw the same two different Sfarim, the same story. Moivsin Baal Shemtov. The Sichos Baal Shemtov will give all of us in Klal Yisrael brachas, will save us from all calamities. B'zat Hashem will bring the Geula Shlema B'kor B'Yaminu Amen. You should know originally, the months of eventually the months of Tammuz and Av are going to be months of tremendous simcha. So it's going to be Yom Tovim, B'zat Hashem, B'kor Mamish, B'zat Hashem. Hopefully we'll see at least some of you on Monday when we learn Sipurey Baal Shemtov.